stage. So the Lord is playing his pastimes and he is behaving in a certain way, he is acting in a certain way. And the purpose of this acting or his pastimes is to give pleasure to his devotees. Iti driksha lilabhir ananda kunde shaghosham nimajjantam akhapayantam. The Lord, performing his pastimes in this way, gives pleasure to his devotees. And also in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentioned, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. He comes to this material nature and performs his pastimes to deliver the devotees and annihilate the demons. And sometimes he acts like a human being. So here he is acting like a human being. And his pastimes as the human beings are of the highest order. Krishnero jateko khela, tar moddhe naro lila, naro bopu taharo swarup. Of all of his pastimes, Krishna's pastimes as the human being is the highest, because this human form is his swarup, is his original identity. He looks like a human being with two arms. Dibhuj Sham Sundar, that is his original form. So while searching for Sita in this way, then all of a sudden, both the brothers were captured by some unseen hands. But then they found those hands, long hands, actually belong to a strange creature, strange demon, who doesn't have a head. And his chest has the eyes and a mouth. His belly, on his chest he has two eyes, and his belly, on his belly he has his mouth. And he catches different creatures by his hands and puts them in his belly. So when they got captured by this demon, his name was Kaubandha. Yes, Kaubandha, the headless creature, and whose hands are the means for his sustenance. And so Ram told Lakshman, let's cut the hands of this creature. And immediately they pulled out their swords and cut both hands. And then the Kabandha realized, when he heard the name Ram, then he became very, very impressed, very delighted. Oh, Ram. And then he narrated his story that he became very powerful due to his austerity, and he challenged Indra. And in that fight, his hands got, Indra used a Vajra, thunder, and struck on his head, and his head went inside his body. And so he fell at Indra's feet and told him that, look, please kill me. Don't keep me like this. Just kill me. But Indra said, look, you got the benediction from Brahma. And so I am not going to counteract that. So Ram will come, and when he cuts your hands off, then you'll be delivered. And he asked, but how am I going to survive? I don't have any mouth to eat, and I don't have any eyes to see. So then Indra said, okay, you'll have your eyes on you have your one eye on your chest, and you'll have your hands, and your mouth will be in your belly, and You'll have long hands, and with the hands you'll catch creatures. And then he asked, but like, how am I going to carry on? So he said that eventually Ram and Lakshman will come, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he'll perform his pastimes here. Then you will be delivered by him. So that is how only the host can share in the meeting. Okay. So, and then only you will be delivered. So he said that now I can see that, but you have to bury me. So Ram and Lakshman dug a big hole, and he lit a fire, made a funeral pyre. So in that funeral pyre, when his body was burnt, then he got his divine celestial form. And then Ram, in the meantime, Ram told him his plight. So he said that, I don't know who Ravan is and where he is, but I can tell you that there is a person who has a kind of equal situation, similar situation like yours. Like his wife also has been kidnapped, and so he'll be your ally along with the monkey force. His name is Sugriv, and he is in Rishamukh mountain on the bank of Pampa lake. So you go there and he'll find you. He will help you to rescue Sita. So then traveling in that direction, Ram came to this Rishamukh mountain, near Rishamukh mountain. And so from the mountain, Sugriv, who was hiding there, afraid of his brother Bali, and so he became afraid, thinking that maybe this is Bali's people came to kill him. And he became very afraid. But Hanuman, his minister, consoled him that, look, unnecessarily you are being afraid, because these people seem to be very noble. They don't look like they have come with some evil intention. So then Sugriv said, they look like ascetics, but they're carrying weapons. So that is unusual. Ascetics don't carry weapons. And then he said, Hanuman, you go and find out who they are. So Hanuman, Hanuman took the form of a Brahmana boy and young Brahmana ascetic, and came to Ram and Lakshman and asked, who are you? So Ram gave his identity, and Hanuman also revealed his identity. And so he took them, Ram and Lakshman, to Rishamukh mountain to Sugriv. So Ram told his story, that his wife has been kidnapped by Ravan. And Sugriv also told his story. His wife has been kidnapped by his elder brother, Bali. And he gave the background that once a terrible demon called Mayavi, he came to them at night and started to challenge Bali for a fight. So when Bali, accompanied by Sugriv, came out, then Mayavi became afraid and he ran. So Bali and Sugriv gave him a chase, and eventually, after a long chase, this demon entered into a cave. So Bali told Sugriv, you stay at the gate, at the mouth of the cave. I'm going inside and to deal with this demon. So Sugriv at the mouth of the cave stood for 1 year, but Bali didn't come out. And eventually he heard the cry of the Rakshasa and didn't hear any sound from Bali. So, and then the blood formed, blood started to come out from the cave. So he thought that Bali has been killed. So he put a big boulder on the cave on the mouth of the cave, and he left. And when he returned to Kiskinda, the capital of the monkeys, then the ministers made him the king. So in the meantime, Bali came out of the cave after killing the demon. And when he came there, he saw that Sugriva was sitting on a throne. So he became very upset and he started to beat him up. Sugriv tried to explain what happened. Sugriv, when the blood came out and he didn't hear any sound from Bali, but only he heard the sound of the Rakshasa, he felt that Bali has been killed. So he covered the mountain cave so that the Rakshasa cannot come out. And he came back. But Bali would not listen to that. So he drove him away without anything. And some of Sugriv's followers followed him. And they came to Rishimukh mountain. And Bali's wife, Sugriv's wife, Rama, was taken over by Bali. And so he was staying in the Rishimukh mountain because once Bali was challenged by a demon called Dundubi. And so a terrible fight ensued. And finally, Bali killed Dundubi. And first of all, he beat him up, made him into just a pulp of flesh, so dripping with blood. So, and he picked up that body of the demon and threw it. And when the body was flying, the blood fell on, there was a sage, and he actually, it fell on his sacrificial area. So he cursed that whoever has done that, if he ever comes near this mountain, he will become stone. So that is how Bali is afraid to come there. And Sugriv took shelter of that mountain. So this is how both of them exchanged their stories. And then they became friends. They took the vow of friendship and helping each other. And Ram assured that he will kill Bali. And and he told Sugriv that you go and challenge your brother, and I'll kill him with the arrow. So Sugriv went close to Bali's palace, and he started to challenge him. Come on, fight with me. So Bali came out, and they fought. And Sugriv was beaten very badly. So finally he just ran away, and Ram actually came with him. And he told Ram that you gave me your words that you will kill Bali, and you didn't do anything. Then Ram told him that, look, when two of you are fighting, both of you look so similar. I couldn't make out who is who. And that's why out of fear, I didn't release my arrow. And so you go again and challenge him. So Sugriva was reluctant. He said, no, I'm in such a terrible shape. I've been beaten to pulp practically. And So Lakshman actually put and told him that, look, this time don't worry, Ram, take care. And as a sign of Sugriv, he put a flowering creeper around his neck, Sugriv's neck. So again, Sugriv went and challenged. So Bali was surprised that I beat him up and ran away. Anyway, this time I'm not going to spare him, I'm just going to kill him. So Bali's wife, Tara, said, look, something is very strange. Like Sugriv he knows that he's no match for you. And just recently he has been defeated. But still he is daring to come back and challenge you. So something is wrong. I heard Angad, my son, he told that these two persons who were Kshatriya warriors, princes, the son, very noble looking personalities. Their names are Ram and Lakshman, and they are the sons of Dasarath. They have made some sort of alliance with Sugriv. So I feel that something is not right. Maybe this Ram will kill you. So Bali said, no, Kshatriya personality like Ram will never do anything that is unfair. So I didn't do anything to him, so why he would develop animosity with me? Saying that, Bali went and they started to fight, and Ram, hiding behind one bush, he shot his arrow and killed Bali. Bali actually had one kavacha that given by Indra. Bali was actually Indra's son. And so Indra, this kavacha, as long as he was wearing that kavacha, he would die. So when Ram came near him, he accused Ram. I didn't have any animosity with you. So why did you do that to me? This was unfair. You have acted in an adharmic way. So Ram then gave his reasons. He said, I am the descendant of Ikshaku, and my business is to establish law and order in this planet. Now you acted in an unfair way. You have stolen your brother's wife. And for that sin, one should be punished. Now, it is a Kshatriya warrior can kill an animal while he is hunting. So for a Kshatriya to kill an animal is not unfair, adharmic. And in this way, Ram gave various reasons why he did that, and Bali accepted, and he offered obeisances, and he gave the kavacha to Sugriv, and he told his Sugriv to take care of his son, Angad. And he told Angad also to listen to Sugriv. So now Sugriv actually became the king of the monkeys, and with the monkey force, he decided to help Lord Ram. And so he sent different monkeys in different directions to search for Sita and find out where this Ravan's kingdom is, capital is. And then, and he sent Angad, the leader of the fourth group, that would go towards south. And Ram already developed some appreciation for this Hanuman, and he was quite confident that Hanuman would find Sita. So he blessed Hanuman and he gave his ring to Hanuman. Said, when you see Sita, show her this one, and that way she will recognize that you are my representative. So they all, Angad, Hanuman, Nila, Mainda, Jambovan, Devida, so the good and many other monkeys, they set out towards south. After a long search, they couldn't find Sita. And one day, there was a bird, like he heard them and he decided to eat them up. So, huge bird. So at that time, they were lamenting that, see, now we are going to become the food of this bird. And it's all due to our misfortune. This Ravan has created that misfortune. And see, like as a result of that, this wonderful bird, Jatayu, had to die, tried to protect. So when that other bird heard Jatayu say, oh, you know Jatayu, who are you? Where did you meet her? So they told the whole story, that how Jatayu died trying to rescue Sita. Then he said that Jatayu is my elder brother. I am his younger brother, Sampati. And so Sampati actually told his story that one day, two of them, Jatayu and him, decided to go to the sun planet to challenge Suryadev. And Indra became upset with this challenge and he hurled his thunder. And with the ray, with coming close to sun, their wing also got burnt and they fell. And Sampati fell in that mountain with his wings cut, burnt out. So there was a sage and who came and asked what happened. He told the story. And he said, please rescue me, please bring my wing back, give my wings back. He said, look, I don't have the power to give you the wings, but one day when the monkeys come in search of Ram's wife, Sita, and at that time, if you help the monkeys, then you will get your wings back. And so and then he was telling that he actually saw that he told that Ravan actually kidnapped Sita, and Ravan's capital is in Lanka, which is 100 miles, one jojan, 800 miles away, 100 jojan away from the ocean. So, and when he gave that news to them, then his wings developed again. And like a young bird, he started to fly around happily. So then now the monkeys found out where Ravan has taken Sita. So now the consideration was that who is going to jump 100 miles? Different monkeys had the ability. Angad said that I can jump 100 miles, but I don't think I'll be able to give another return jump to come back another 800 miles. 100 jojanas. One jojana is 8 miles. So then then Jambavan said, no, I know you can do that. You can jump 1,000 jojanas, what to speak of 100 jojanas. But since you're the leader of the group, you shouldn't do that. This Hanuman is capable of doing that. And he mentioned that Hanuman got different benedictions from different demigods. And as a result of that, he became very powerful. And as a little child, he started to create disturbance to the sages in the forest. So the sages cursed him that he will forget his ability. Only when he would be reminded by somebody about his ability in the service of the Supreme Lord, then only he will regain his remembrance of his ability. And so this is how Hanuman was reminded that he should be the one to jump. So Hanuman climbed up to the Mahendra Parvat, Mahendra mountain, and from the peak of the Mahendra mountain, he jumped. He expanded himself 50 times larger. And when he jumped, due to the thrust of his jump, the mountain broke. And he started to fly across. So Indra wanted to check his prowess. So Indra told the mother of the Nagas, Surasha, who was in the ocean, Surasha, you assumed a terrible form to check out this monkey's strength. So Surasha, assuming a huge, gigantic form, rose from the ocean. And she opened her mouth when Hanuman was flying. And so Hanuman just said, please move out of my way. She said, no, I have the benediction from Brahma that whoever comes across my way will enter in my mouth and swallow, will enter in my mouth and be. So Surasha expanded. Then Hanuman expanded himself larger than Surasha's ability to swallow. Surasha expanded herself in this way. Both of them started to expand in an unlimited way. Surasha was expanding her mouth. Hanuman was expanding his body. Then finally, all of a sudden, Hanuman made himself very small, entered into Surasha's mouth and came out. And said, see, I fulfilled the benediction you got from Brahma. Now please let me go. I have entered in your mouth. I fulfilled your desire. Then Surasha revealed her identity and told what happened. Then Indra also told Mainak mountain. There was a mountain that is under the ocean to rise and give some shelter to rest for Hanuman. So when Mainak rose, and Mainak told that Indra actually sent him to give him some shelter place to rest. Then Hanuman said, I don't need any place to rest. But since you are then you got this assignment from Indra and Brahma also. So he touched the peak of the mountain and then carried on. So in the ocean there was another Rakshashi. Her name was Singhika. So Singhika has the ability, like if there was some shadow of some animal, some creature, she could, by catching that shadow, she could actually catch the person or the entity. So she saw Hanuman flying, so that his shadow was on the ocean water. So and then all of a sudden Hanuman couldn't move. So, and then Hanuman, Singhika got Hanuman and swallowed him. And Hanuman tore open her abdomen with her nails, thunder like nails, and came out of her body, killing Singhika. So then finally, Hanuman landed in Lanka Island. He was waiting for the night. He saw the grandeur of that place. Beautiful golden city made of pure gold. So at night, he, as he became small like a cat, and climbed onto the wall of Lanka and entered into Lanka. And then all of a sudden, a Rakshasi came and said, "Who are you?" Hanuman said, "Who are you?" So she said that I am the presiding deity of the city of Lanka, and I do not allow any trespasser. So Hanuman said, "Look, I have come here just to see this place. I heard so much about this grand place, so I just came to watch this place. So get out of my way." And at that time, this Rakshasi slapped Hanuman. And Hanuman also punched her on the face. But he didn't, because she was a woman, he didn't punch her so heavily. So being punched like that, this woman, Rakshasi, revealed and said, "Oh, you see, I have been told by one of the sages or something, or it was probably Brahma himself, that when you will be slapped by a monkey, that you realize that that will be the end of this city of Rama." So he said that now I realize that the end of this city is coming, and you must be the agent of the destroyer. So please have access to Lanka. So Ravan through the night looked around everywhere. He even went to Ravan's inner palace, where he saw Ravan surrounded by many extremely beautiful women. Some of them were human, some of them were Kinnaris, Apsaras, demigod, goddesses. Ravan has captured all these women to enjoy them. And he saw Mandodari, Ravan's chief wife. And Hanuman wondered, is this Sita? And being excited that he found Sita, he started to jump, striking his thigh in excitement. But then it occurred to him, no, Sita will never succumb to Ravan. So he left the palace. Then it was morning. So he saw a temple in the middle of a beautiful garden. And so there he saw underneath a tree, there is one beautiful woman. And he suspected that this must be Sita. She was so morose, so sad. And she was guarded by Rakshasis. And then all of a sudden he saw Ravan coming. Although he had 10 heads, he had one. He was not displaying his 10 heads. He had one head. Very powerful, very good looking, and dressed in red cloth, red garments, and accompanied by other women, Rakshasis, and other celestial women. So he came to Sita. When Sita saw Ravan coming, Sita placed grass, kusha grass, to create a kind of a partition. He would not directly deal with Ravan. And Hanuman was very excited to see Sita's behavior. And Ravan first started to woo her, that why are you in this condition? You can enjoy with me. You will become my chief queen. Like, why are you wasting your beauty in this way? But Sita would not respond. But she just said that it's only a matter of time. Ram will come and kill you and rescue me. Just wait for your death, your Rakshasa. So Ravan became very angry. And he said that, I'm just giving you just 12 months. I told you, I'm giving you just 12 months. Within this 12 months, if you don't surrender, then I will eat you up for breakfast. And then angrily he just left, trembling with anger. And he told the Rakshasas who are guarding Sita, then do something to make her surrender. Through fear, through cajoling, through whatever it takes, just make her surrender unto me. And so then he left. And so then Hanuman realized that this is Sita. And he assumed small monkey form next to a tree where Sita was. And he started to sing the glory of Rama, so that only Sita could hear. And Sita was surprised to hear this glory of Rama. And then Hanuman came out and he showed the ring of Rama, identifying himself. Although Sita thought at the beginning, maybe this monkey is another Rakshasa in disguise. So Hanuman showed Sita the ring, and Sita recognized Hanuman. Then Hanuman said, look, I can rescue you. I can carry you back to Ram, rescue him from Rama. But Sita said no. Sita gave reasons that I cannot touch any other man willingly. Ravan kidnapped me, so I was unable. I was undone. But willingly I cannot touch any other man. And besides that, if you rescue me, then Ram's glory will be hampered. Like people will say that Ram couldn't save his wife. So I want Ram to come and rescue me, killing this demon. So then Hanuman decided, okay, I'll go and give the message to Ram. And and then Hanuman stood by the gate of this forest and garden and challenged the guards, just holding one iron rod. So he killed all the guards. Then Ravan sent, when he got the message, he sent more soldiers to deal with the monkey. So Hanuman killed all of them. Ravan sent one Akshauhini soldier headed by one of his ministers. Hanuman killed all of them. Then Ravan sent his son Aksha, his own son. And Aksha also was killed by Hanuman. Then finally, Indrajit, Ravan's son, came and he used Brahmastra to capture Hanuman. So Hanuman, in order to show respect to Brahma's weapon, he pretended as if he has been caught, he has been bound. But it was his pretension. So then Hanuman, and then Ravan's other soldiers started to tie Hanuman up with rope. And Indrajit could understand that this Hanuman is actually pretending. And now that others were trying to tie him up with ropes, Indrajit felt that now the Brahmastra's influence will be gone. And Anyway, Hanuman pretended as if he was bound. He was taken to Ravan. And Ravan asked him, and Hanuman mentioned that he is Ram's messenger. He came to tell him to release Sita if he wants to survive. Otherwise, Ram will come and kill him. And then Ravan said, kill him. But Bibhishan advised him that, look, a messenger should not be killed. A messenger can be beaten, messenger can be humiliated, but not killed. So then one minister suggested that the monkeys are very proud of their tail. So burn his tail and let that fire burn. And so Hanuman's tail was wrapped around with cloth, and they poured fuel on it and lit it. And then Hanuman started to jump from one palace to another, burning it. And this way he burned the whole Lanka. And it is said that Lanka being burned, the molten gold was like flowing like a river into the ocean. So then he jumped back and gave the information. So they all went to Ram and reported. Ram was extremely pleased with Hanuman, and he glorified him, praised him. He said, Hanuman, you are given the assignment just to bring the message of whereabouts of Sita. You not only accomplished that, you also surveyed the city, and you generated fear in the heart of Rakshasas headed by Rama. And Ram actually at that time embraced Hanuman as appreciation for his valor. Then they all decided, now they found where Sita was, so they decided to go towards the ocean. So they millions and millions and millions of monkeys. The whole place became filled with monkeys, and they started to move towards the mount, towards the end of the earth and to the ocean. And Hanuman was carrying Ram, and Angad was carrying Lakshman. So this way, soon they arrived at the bank of the ocean. Then Ram, in the meantime, Bibhishan, Ravan's brother, and he was very gentle and noble. So he advised Ravan that what you are doing is wrong. So return his wife. Because by stealing somebody else's wife, you are not really acting on her. You are incurring a lot of sin, which may be the cause of your destruction. But Ravan became so infuriated that he said that you're behaving like an enemy, not like an ally, not like my brother. So he banished Vibhishan. Being banished in this way from Lanka, along with 4 other associates, Vibhishan left, and he came to Ram. And at first they thought that he was a spy. And there were many other considerations that why Ravan's brother, another Rakshasa, would come to make alliance. And Ram was asking different monkeys about their opinion. And finally he asked Hanuman, Hanuman was so wise, Hanuman gave the reasons. But first of all, by the appearance and the behavior of a person, one can make out what his intention is. So this person's appearance is noble and honest, and the way he speaks becomes completely obvious that he is an honest person. And besides that, when a person like that we have on our side, then it will be of great use. So in this way, Hanuman actually again proved his wisdom, and Rama appreciated that. Then they decided how to cross the ocean. Only Hanuman could jump, maybe a few other monkeys could have jumped. But how to take the whole army? So they decided to Ram decided to call the ocean god. But he didn't come. So then Ram put an arrow in his bow, and he was about to take out dry out the ocean. So at that time, the ocean god came and fell at his feet and said that he is going to assist him. Like whatever they would put on the water of the ocean, it will float, and in this way they can build a bridge to go to Lanka. And so they got engaged in that act. There were all the monkeys from different places started to gather big stones and whatever they could find. Like some of the big monkeys tore off the mountain peaks. Like sometimes we see that some mountains are flat on top. So it is understood that the monkeys headed by Hanuman actually broke those mountain tops to build a bridge for. And because the top was broken, that's why the mountains are flat. Like one such mountain is in South African Cape Town called Table Mountain. It's a huge mountain, but it's completely flat. And there are so many such mountains. In Africa, I've seen quite a few such mountains like that. So they actually carried all those boulders and things and they built the bridge. So then when the bridge was built, then the whole of our monkey army headed by Ram and Sugriv marched through the bridge. And then they came to Lanka. So it was already evening. So from they decided to take rest in that mountain called Subal Mountain. In the morning, they saw the grandeur of that city, beautiful city by the ocean and on top of a mountain, and it's surrounded by thick forest, and then there are moats all around, there are drawbridges, and then it is covered by, protected by a wall. And so when all of a sudden they noticed that Ravan on top of the northern gate, on top of the wall. And so when Sugriv saw Ravan, he couldn't retain himself, he couldn't control himself. He jumped from the top of the mountain, came right in front of Ravan and just slapped him hard. Ravan, all of a sudden, being attacked like that, he couldn't make out, his crown went flying. So then both of them started to fight. And when Ravan saw that he is not going to win, so he resorted to magic. So at that time, Sugriv jumped back and came back to Ram. So Ram mildly, affectionately chastised him that Sugriv, you can't act in such an irresponsible way. You are the general of the army, you are the king. And if anything happened to you, then everyone would be demoralized. And there's no way we can win this fight. So, but at the same time, Ram also glorified him. But at the same time, through this act of yours, you have created confidence and in the heart of your army. And you also created fear in the heart of Ravan and his army. So, and then in this way, both the sides became prepared for the battle. And so Ram made arrangements to counteract Ravan's arrangement. And the fight ensued. In one side, Ravan with his Rakshasa army, extremely powerful and equipped with all kinds of powerful weapons. Whereas the monkeys, they don't have any weapon. They're fighting with bare hands and using stones or tree trunks. And so it's quite an unusual difference of strength. One side is such an extremely advanced, powerful army. And on the other side, it's just the monkeys, the dwellers of the forest, totally uncivilized or unequipped, don't even know how to use weapons. But when the battle started, with their fight, in that fight, the Rakshasas started to lose one after another, generals and thousands of their soldiers. The fight eventually became so vicious that they started to fight even at night. And then Ravan, when Ravan lost many of his leading generals, ministers, even his sons, so eventually Indrajit came to fight. Now Indrajit had the ability to fight being invisible. And so he attacked Ram and Lakshman. Their whole body was pierced. They couldn't see where he was, where the enemy was, but the arrows were coming in the form of snakes. And so their attack, they were kind of injured in such a way that there was no room even for a finger to touch their skin. The whole body was covered with arrows. And everyone was crying that Ram and Lakshman are dead. So Ravan told, Indrajit went and took the message to his father Ravan. Ravan was very happy that his son, after defeated the enemies. Then Ravan said, take the Pushpak Rath and take Sita and show her now that Ram is dead. So Sita was brought in a chariot that flies, and from the top of the chariot she could see Ram and Lakshman's condition, lying there, pierced by thousands of arrows and their whole body was. So Sita started to cry. But there was a Rakshasi, Trijata. She was very, very supportive and consoling. So she assured that, look, Ram is not dead. Because if he was dead, then the monkeys wouldn't have been surrounding his body like this. And on top of everything, Pushpak chariot doesn't carry any widow. So since you're riding on this chariot, that means you haven't become a widow. So Ram is still alive, don't worry. So in this way, being consoled by Trijata, although a Rakshasi, but very friendly. So she kind of somewhat consoled, went back. In the meantime, Garuda came. All of a sudden they saw that the ocean water was rising as if there was a huge storm. And then they saw Garuda coming. And seeing Garuda, all the snakes, and the arrows were actually snakes in the form of arrows. So they all ran away. So then Garuda touched Ram and Lakshman's body, and they got healed. Then all the monkeys started to cry out in jubilation. So Ravan and Indrajit and others heard that cry, and they wondered what happened, and then they found that Ram and Lakshman has been revived. So this is how so many incidents were happening. In the meantime, there was another thing that happened. One day, Ravan had one conjurer, a magician, Rakshasa called Vidyujibha. So Ravan told Vidyujibha to create the head of Ram and create the bow and arrow of Ram's. And so he took that head of Ram and went to Sita and said, "See, Ram is dead. And here is his bow and here is his arrows." Sita started to cry. And then all of a sudden one minister came and said something to Ravan. So Ravan immediately left. So Sharma, Bibhishan's wife, consoled Sita when she was lamenting. Then she consoled that this is a conjurer, a trick of a magician. Ram is not dead. Don't feel so despondent. So this is how Sita was being supported by some of the Rakshasi friends there. And so the battle was going on. Another magic trick that once Indrajit did. Indrajit came with Sita sitting next to him in a chariot. And then he said, "See, here is Sita. So I'm going to kill her now." And so he pulled out his sword and cut Sita's body diagonally. And her body fell on the chariot. Seeing that, Ram started to cry and said, "What's the point in now fighting anymore? Like the whole purpose has been lost. Sita is dead. I killed Sita." So then Bibhishan consoled him. He said, "Look, Ravan is so attached to Sita that he will never allow anyone to kill Sita. So don't worry, it's only just some Rakshasi magical tricks, magics." And in this way, the fight was going on. Ravan was losing. So finally he decided to wake up Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna used to sleep for 6 days, 6 months, and stay awake for 1 day. But it was decided that the Kumbhakarna should be woken up. And so after long effort, like they were sounding all kinds of sound, beating drums and horns and bugles, and in by his ears, nothing happened. They started to beat him with clubs. Still Kumbhakarna didn't wake up. Then they made elephants to work on his body. So finally Kumbhakarna woke up, and he was a huge giant of Rakshasa. So Ravan told him the whole thing, and Kumbhakarna also told him, Ravan, why did you get into this unnecessary struggle? You should have returned the wife of that person. Like you have so many women to enjoy. Why are you so adamant about this woman? Anyway, so in this way, the Kumbhakarna was brought in, and Kumbhakarna created a chaos everywhere. He was grabbing those monkeys and putting them on his mouth, eating them up. And with his hands, he was just, with his mess, with his weapon, he was killing hundreds and thousands of monkeys. And then finally, Ram came to confront him, and Ram killed him. When his head fell, the head actually blocked the main entrance of Lanka. And his body then fell in the ocean, and half of this body sank in the ocean, and the other half of the torso was still above the ocean. So this is how Kumbhakarna was killed. Ravan is completely devastated. And then Indrajit said, Father, I will come. Don't worry, I will take care of them. So this time again, Indrajit, staying invisible, attacked Lakshman with Shakti weapon. And Lakshman became unconscious, as if dead. So there was, among the monkeys, there were one doctor, physician, Sushen. So Sushen suggested that if if Vishalda Karani, Shantini Karani, like these herbs could be brought from Gandhamadar mountain, which is in the Himalayas, then Lakshman could be recovered. And so how to get it? The only person who could do that was Hanuman. So Hanuman jumped from Lanka all the way to the Himalayas. And he was searching for these herbs, or medicinal herbs. But seeing that the medicinal herbs actually disappeared, hid themselves, and Hanuman couldn't find them. And besides that, he also was not an Ayurvedic expert. So he uprooted the whole mountain and carried the mountain back to Lanka. Sushen took the appropriate herbs, took them to Lakshman to smell, and Lakshman came back to life. So everyone was very happy. Bibhishan advised that, look, no one can defeat Indrajit. The only time Indrajit can be vulnerable is when he is performing a yajna called Nikumbhila. When he performs the Nikumbhila yajna, then if somebody can attack him, because after he performs this yajna, he becomes invincible. So Lakshman decided to go with a small contingency and Vibhishan. So they went there where Indrajit was performing this yajna, and then Lakshman fought with Indrajit and killed him. When Indrajit was dying, he cursed, or rather accused Vibhishan, that you're a member of our own family. Why did you become a traitor, joined our enemies. So here Vibhishan also justified. He said that when your father acted in an unjust way, it is unfair to side with him. A virtue means to side with the right cause. No other consideration should be there when it comes to dealing with virtue. And in this way, he justified his thing and his stand. Then Ravan was totally infuriated. And so this time Ravan actually said, so let's kill Sita. But his minister, one of his ministers, advised him that this is not going to be the fair thing to do, because that will infuriate Ram even more. And besides that, why unnecessarily going to kill him? So in this way, being advised by this noble minister, Ravan refrained from killing Sita. But this time he decided to go and fight the battle himself. So at that time, Indra sent his chariot along with his chariot driver Matali. So the chariot came, Matali invited Ram, and saying that Indra actually sent this chariot to deal with Ravan. So a terrible fight ensued, and Ram actually defeated Ravan, but he didn't kill him because he was tired. And injured Ravan, his charioteer carried injured Ravan back to the palace. Ravan, when he came back to his senses, he was furious. Why did you do that? He started to chastise his chariot driver. Then he decided to go again to the battlefield. And so at that time, Augusta came to Ram and told Ram that, Ram, I gave you this Aditya Hridaya mantra to invoke the power of Lord Shiva, invoke the power of Sun God, Aditya. And so you chant the mantra and you use this arrow that has been given by Brahma. And so then in that battle, finally Ram released that weapon. Ravan was dead. So this is how Ram finally won the battle, killing Ravan. Sita was rescued. Sita was brought back to Ram, for whom such a terrible battle was fought. So many monkeys and so many Rakshasas lost their lives. But when Sita was brought, Ram just mentioned that she had been abducted, kidnapped by the Rakshasa. She has been staying in his custody as a captive. So who knows what happened to her? So she'll have to prove her purity before I can accept her. Sita was crying. She said that, why then did you take so much trouble? You could have left me here. There was no need for you to come and try to rescue me. And now that you have rescued me, now you are saying, you are casting doubts about my purity. Anyway, whatever it takes to prove my purity, I'm prepared for that. And Sita had to go through this fire test. Agni Pariksha, huge fire was lit. And Sita entered into the fire. And And she was totally unharmed. And fire god actually brought Sita and offered her to Ram. Now there is another story, another anecdote or incident behind this. When Ravan stole Sita, Sita took shelter of fire Agnidev. And Agnidev took Sita away, and in her place, Maya Sita was placed there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discovered it from Kurma Purana when he was traveling in South India. And so this was the real secret. So Sita was taken by fire, God, and now the Maya Sita disappeared and real Sita was brought back. So all the demigods also came at that time. So Indra came to Ram and said, please tell me what can I do for you. So Ram said, revive all the dead monkeys, those who died in this battle. Indra said, that power I do not have. I do not have the power to revive. But if you empower me, like since you desire, then obviously it will happen. And if you want me to do it, it can happen only if you empower me. So with this appeal, Indra conducted this amazing feat, revived all the monkeys. And then it was decided that all the monkeys will accompany Lord Ram in the Pushpak chariot. And in the meantime, Ram coronated Vibhishan as the king of Lanka. And all of them now are going to Ajodha with Ram. And so all the monkeys were there. So when they're flying over Kishkinda, Sita requested that let all the wives of the monkeys also come with us. So then the Pushpak chariot landed there, and all the wives of the monkeys also came. Now, Pushpak Viman has the ability to fit as many people as may be there. Like it takes one shape when there is only one person. But as the number of people in the chariot increases, the chariot also expands. So this is how all the monkeys, along with the wives and Ram, along with Ram, they all came to Ajodha. As you know, the whole of Ajodha was lit up with lamps, and that is the occasion of Deepavali. Deepavali. The whole city is lit up with lamps, deep. And then Bharat came and fell at Ram's feet and requested him to take his kingdom back. And at that time, everyone was glorifying Lord Ram for his amazing act, amazing deed of killing Ravana, who was practically invincible, immortal. And when they're glorifying Ram, Agastya Muni said, actually the real glory of winning this battle and killing Ravana goes to Lakshman. So everyone was surprised. But Ram is the one who killed Ravan. How can you say the real glory goes to Lakshman? Then Agastya Muni told that Ravan couldn't have been killed if Indrajit, as long as Indrajit was there. And Indrajit couldn't be killed by anyone. The only condition was that the one who remained a brahmachari for 14 years only he could kill Indrajit. And one who did not eat anything for 14 years could have killed Indrajit. So Lakshman was the one who remained a brahmachari for 14 years, and he did not eat for 14 years. That's why Lakshman is the only one who could have done that. So everyone is surprised. And Ram said, but Sita was with us. A brahmachari doesn't see a woman. So how can you say that Lakshman was a brahmachari? Of course, we have to recognize that Ram is asking this question just as his pastimes. As I mentioned, pastimes are like a drama acted on a stage. So Ram, a question. Then Agastya asked, okay, ask Lakshman. Then Lakshman said, yes, Sita was there with us, but I never looked at her face. I simply, whenever I had to deal with her, I looked at her feet, lotus feet. Then Ram recalled, yes, when the monkeys showed the ornaments that Sita had dropped while Ravan was kidnapping her in the Pushpak chariot, then the only ornament that you could recognize was her ankle bells, ankle, nupur. Because, yeah, it's true, like you never looked at the only place that, you simply looked at her. Anyway, but every day I used to give you a fruit. So how can you say that you didn't eat anything for 14 years? So Lakshman said that you gave the fruit and said, take. But you didn't ask me to eat. Therefore, I didn't eat those fruits. I took them and placed them back into the forest. Kept them back in the forest. So then Ram said that since those fruits got the touch of Lakshman, so those fruits are also imperishable. So Hanuman, you go and collect the fruits and let's see. So Hanuman went to the forest and collected all those fruits and brought back. They counted those fruits and they found that 5 fruits were less. So Ram said, oh, so for 5 days you ate the fruits. Lakshman said, no, those 5 days you actually forgot to give me the fruits. And so what are those 5 days? The day you got the news of father's demise. The day Sita was kidnapped. The day I was hit by Shakti, became unconscious. The day Sita's fire Agni Pariksha took place. And another day I forgot. So these are the 5 days you forgot to give me the fruits. So then everybody started to glorify Lakshman. And Ram lamented that as my younger brother had to undergo so much difficulties. So in our next pastime, you will become not my younger brother, but my elder brother. And that's why in Krishna's pastime, Lakshman came as Balaram, Krishna's elder brother. And another thing that has also came up at that time is that the most illustrious was Bharat. that Ram was in the forest leading the life of an ascetic, whereas Bharat, living in the palace, taking care of the royal responsibility, he actually led the life of a perfect ascetic. He wore matted hair, never took care of his hair for all these 14 years. He did not wear cloth but wrapped himself with tree barks. He ate only fruits and roots for his sustenance. So in this way, Bharat's glory was established. Ram was an ascetic in the forest, but Bharat for 14 years was an ascetic in the palace. So this is how the demon Ravan was dealt with. Vinashaya Chadushkritam, and Lord Ramchandra established Ram Rajya once again in this planet. So all glories to Sri Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shamaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Sri Sri Ram Navami Mahotsav ki
jai,
Gaur Premanande
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. So anyway, so I did manage to cover it in time.
Very nice.
Also, I couldn't go into the details. There are so many interesting things in between. But
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare. Who is that?
Vrindavan.
Oh, Vrindavan Chandra. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can I see all of you? No, I can't see any of you. How do you?
We're all hiding.
We have to.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Okay. Now
thank
I
you so
can
much.
see.
Thank you so much for wonderful
Hare Krishna.
Ram Katha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Jai Shri Prabhupada. I can see part of Jayadvaita Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And happy Ram Navami.
Thank you very much.
Ram Navami to all of you. In India, we celebrated Ram Navami yesterday. In India, we celebrated yesterday.
Oh.
Okay, you all are Hare Krishna, Venkat
Hare
Prabhu. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now I can see everyone. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna Jadu
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Charan
Hare Krishna Jasamurti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Vrindavan Chandra. And Madan Gopal Prabhu, thank you so much for projecting all the fitting paintings.
That was nice.
So I don't know when we'll be able to travel again and meet each other personally, but at least by the mercy of the modern technology, we can associate with each other somehow.
Yes.
Thank you. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much, Maharaj.
Lord
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Hare Krishna, my Pandit. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Daddy Kamu sama tadi, right? It was good.